I currently own and run a coaching business that does multiple 5 figures per month. In today's video, I have a client of mine named Isaac who scaled his business to 15K a month as a growth operator. If you know anything about growth operating, is that it's very easy to make your first $5,000 to $10,000 month, as a lot of these people that you're signing as a growth operator have big audiences, and it's based off of a launch system which gets you a lot of money up front, but long term can become a little bit more difficult. So what me and Isaac have been doing is shifting his offer to something a little bit more leveraged, which has allowed him to make 13,000. He signed one deal, I believe, for 13K, I believe about a couple weeks ago. And now we're making the full shift to this full new offer. So if you are a growth operator or you run an agency, we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff regarding this, regarding done for you, etc., and why it is not the play long term. Thanks for watching.
I do a growth operating model right now, and I essentially help fitness coaches, online health coaches monetize their audiences. And so in terms of the actual business model itself, it's pretty simple. It's either a rev split or a profit split. Some of my clients I have 50-50 with, some I have 70-30 with, 60-40 with. But the point is, and I think we're going to get into this more in depth, is that with growth operating specifically, you pretty much do everything. Your offer is not, I'm going to help you run emails. I'm going to run ads for you. I'm going to write your content for you. I'm going to manage your sales team for you. It's, I'm going to make you money. And that means you have to do everything for them. And that's the kind of crutch of the business model, I would say. I think Alex Hormozy says one thing that's really valuable. And he says, the easiest thing to sell is done for you, paid on commission. You're not paid anything up front. Everyone only makes money when you make them money. And on top of that, you do everything. And so, yeah, that's, I'd say, the first main issue, really, you know?
Yeah, when I was actually first starting out, like helping gyms, I initially was like doing, I don't talk about this a lot, but I was doing a lot of like, hey, I'll work for free for X. That those sort of offers. Sometimes I was doing like, hey, you only pay me when people come in, or just pay me a percentage of the close sort of thing. So kind of like the growth partner model. Um, and I remember when I was doing that, I was like pretty shit at sales, but I was just like printing, not from like making money, but printing as in like getting clients.
Mm.
I would sign like a client like every 2 days. I'd be like, Jim, Jim, Jim. And it was just me doing like fucking just cold calls all day. And I was just like, Jim, Jim, Jim. But the thing is, like, I remember in 1 week, I had I had 10 gyms that I signed in 1 week. And then like at the end of the week after, following week, 10 of those gyms, I think 7 or 8 of them churned. Like
Jesus
that's
Christ.
the sort of shit. And I remember after that, I was like, fuck, this has to do with commitment because I
Mm.
have gyms who go through the exact same process, but they're paying me like 3K, 4K a month sort of thing, and
Mm.
they're getting success. So is it them, right? So, and it's as entrepreneurs, it's like very easy to be like, oh, like I feel like all of us like we constantly like judge ourselves because that's like the right thing to do to introspect. But
Mm.
sometimes it's like, you know, it's not exactly just you. Like, yeah, it is your fault in a sense for putting yourself in that situation, but
Yeah.
potentially it could be the client. So yeah, why do you kind of feel like that you're or I guess before and right now me and Isaac are kind of making a shift together. Like I'm helping him kind of shift his operations, offer, etc. over
Mm.
from kind of being commoditized to something a little bit more leveraged. But what do you feel like are kind of the pitfalls if you were to run us through like yeah, long hours, but like what else?
So there's a few key pitfalls, I'd say. I'd say one of the key pitfalls is the fact that you don't have any control of the front end. And so Ashton sent me a really powerful video around 2, 3 days ago that kind of re-energized me in terms of this specific shift that we're making. And what it broke down is very simple. It's just the fact that, look, as a growth operator, you do the entire back end and you could do an exceptional job. You can build an incredible sales team. You can create a great funnel, automation systems, back end. You can write the person great content, write their VSL, script that all out. But then at the end of the day, you cannot control if this person films the content or not. You cannot control the front end, which is the most important. If you give them ad creatives and they don't film them, you're done for. If you give them content and they don't film the content, you're done for. Or if they just take a very long time to do it, which is a very simple task. And the issue that brings is that now your money and your payment and your income is reliant on somebody else. And of course, in every business model, to an extent, this is true. But in this specific case, especially when you feel like, okay, cool, you're putting in all this work, and then, this person won't like do what you need them to do is very difficult.
Mhm.
So I'd say that's one thing. But then the second thing I'd say is a main thing is that you're not, you have no leverage in frame. I think frame is a very, very important thing in a client relationship because I'd say one thing you did really well, Ashton, when we onboarded is you onboarded me and broke down that your process works, which it has worked well, really well for me. Your process is successful. You have clients that it's been successful for. So if it doesn't work, it's on me, right? And that meant that I understood the concept that no one will care about my business more than I care about my business.
Mm.
However, in the growth operator model, it's this like partner situation, but
Mhm.
that means you can't necessarily tell them you need to tighten up and flip and film some content or do XYZ thing. So those are two things, and we can go into a couple more later, but I think those are food for thought.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's you're just bearing all the risk.
Mm,
Yeah. No, it's scary. It's scary when you're in a relationship and you're kind of taking on all the risk. And yeah, your frame is completely shot as well.
mm.
Have you had scenarios before where like you've onboarded people and they they haven't gotten you things like quickly or like and then you're like, holy shit, like I'm trying to make us money here. Like what's going on? Like any nightmare stories.
Do you know what it is? This isn't even, I don't want to call it a nightmare story, but 100%, like, there's clients I've had. Their offer has incredible potential. They've got a good niche. They've got a good setup and everything. And then
Mm.
with your expertise, you can make it rip.
Yeah.
And then you do everything on your side. And then on their side, it's simple things of just film content. It's not difficult, right?
Yeah.
And then there'll be like one excuse after the other. That's a difficult ball game to play, bro, because you just have no leverage, no power, no frame. And of course, you can tell people to do things, but at the end of the day, if people are distracted and you're kind of down and you're trying to do your thing, it doesn't make any sense. And that's one thing that was broken down, where it's a case where all the people that we see who are successful, or Mosey, Mangadzi, like whoever it is, they're great at what they do, but they're not special. What makes them special is their personal brand, because that
Mm.
actually gives them leverage, and that gives them leverage in terms of they're the marketer as well as the business owner in a sense. So it's an interesting thing.
Got you. Yeah. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. So what are you shifting to now? Because, like you've been a growth operator for a while now, like classic, like hey, 50-50, 70-30, like kind of what you ran us through. And obviously, like just to go through the biggest problems, number one, frame, number two, but it's all kind of like related around commitment and risk,
Mm.
right? Like for example, when did you start your business, Isaac?
Just above a year now, to be honest. I started in like October 2023.
Okay. What if what if when you started that business you had to bear like zero risk? Like I would pay for everything for you. If you lost money, like spending money on ads, I would pay you back. I'd be like, hey, it's okay. Like sugar daddy. You would probably be like, feet up, whatever. Eh,
Mm.
this is not really that. Like, yeah, sure, but like, it's not really that big of a deal. Like,
Literally.
you're risk free, right? So psychologically, that totally destroys your clients because how are you gonna help someone get success if you're bearing all of the risk for them? Because risk is like, yeah, it's a bad thing, but it's also a double-edged sword,
Mm.
a good thing as well, right? So
Genuinely.
so yeah. So obviously, you have you read the book Skin in the Game by Nicholas Nassim Taleb?
I haven't read the book, but it's a concept I use in a lot of sales calls because it's a great concept to break down to someone this is my personal opinion, not to go on a tangent, but in almost all coaching programs,
Mm.
what actually allows you to garner success isn't even the information and the process and that type of stuff itself. They're going to give you a couple unique insights that will help you. But the main thing that actually helps you is that you putting skin in the game and you giving them an amount of money that means something to you.
Mm.
Because once you give them that amount of money, then it's like you have to get some results. You have to make it happen. But if you have no risk, it's like, cool. Yeah, like as in, actually, if you coach me for free, I have like no incentive to make that happen ASAP, you know? So it's
But
crazy.
it's also perspective as well. This is a really interesting stat. You can kind of do with this what you want to do with this moving forward. But some of the clients that I've worked with in the past have, let's say, I jump on a call with them. They're like, "Hey, Ashton, I can't afford your service." I'm like,
Mm,
I'm like, okay, like what? Do you want to join this? They're like, yeah, but I just actually don't have the money. I'm like, okay, how can you find the funding? And I've had a couple of people who've like taken out like bank loans, for example,
mm.
right? And you may look at this and be like, oh my God, these people are autistic. Why would they do that? Right? But it's funny. Those
Uh,
people who take the bank loan out,
big.
you know that feeling of going to the bank, taking it out, now you have to pay it back. It's not even your money. You're fucking
Yeah,
scared. You're like maybe a little bit fearful, but it's motivating at the end of the day. And they have a really
yeah.
high level of commitment. And those clients probably, I think I calculated a while ago, like I have like, I think three people who've ever done that with me. And those three
Mm,
people, their results way above everyone else. So
wow.
so you have to kind of ask yourself, like, yeah, your program has to be fucking locked in, it has to be good, no
Mm,
shit. But also, like, how can you increase their level of commitment as well, right? So I
okay.
don't
But
know.
can I ask you a question then?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Other than the amount of money you get them to pay up front, how else can you increase their level of commitment?
Other than money, how can you increase their level of commitment? Well, the thing is, as an entrepreneur, like, what is your goal in business?
To make profit?
To make profit, which is money, right? So everything is all in all kind of centered around money in business. Like that's just how it is, right? So
Mm,
money is resources and that is just a level of commitment at the end of the day. There's not really there are yes, there are other ways to gain commitment emotionally, like allowing them to set goals with you, going through like certain
mm,
exercises where it's like, hey, here are your goals, etc., allowing them to future cast. Oh, you really want this goal, right?
yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think there was a study done where there were two cats. This is like a real paradigm changer for me. I feel like you know this study.
I do not know this study. Maybe I do. Maybe, go ahead, go ahead.
There are two cats, okay, put in separate kind of chambers, sort of thing. Okay, one was running towards a reward, one was running away from a
Oh,
reward. A
I
reward.
knew it as two rats or two
Rats,
mice or
yeah, same
something, but
thing,
yeah,
same concept, right?
yeah.
Which one ran faster? Running
The
away,
one that was running away, yeah.
right? So, and then there was a third one running away from something and then running towards something as well. Which one did the
Mm,
best,
the
right?
third one.
Yeah, exactly. So if you can implement kind of like certain commitment things, we're like, okay, we're running towards a goal here, but you're
Mm,
also like, hey, like you're taking a risk here, and that risk is still big. That risk is still chasing you. You're still motivated by that. Then like
literally.
best of both worlds there, right?
Yeah.
So so yeah. So moving forward here, I have a question for you. Um, let's say someone's watching this video. Okay.
Mm,
It's a very relaxed podcast, by the way. I just wanted to kind of talk about growth operating. But if someone's watching this video, I want you to kind of like give them like, yeah, the positives. Okay, yeah, you've gotten some client case studies. You've definitely gained skills, nonetheless,
yeah.
100%. But like, what advice would you give to them moving forward? Would you say like, hey, you should get into this initially, get a few case studies, or what should they kind of do?
As I mentioned earlier, it's a very easy thing to sell.
Of
Like
course.
you're literally telling them, you only pay me if we make money, number one. Number two, I'm basically gonna be your slave. I'll do everything for you, right? It's very easy to sell. So it being easy to sell means in that initial stage where you have very little skill, very little experience, you're trying to get proof of concept of that something works. I think it's the number one thing you should go down, like genuinely, because it allows you to acquire a bunch of different skills very, very quickly. Within 3 months of growth operating, you'll learn how to appointment set. You'll learn to some extent sales because you probably watch your client sales calls. You'll
Yep.
learn how to write content. You may even go deep enough to run some paid ads. You'll learn how to build funnels. You'll learn how to build systems. You'll learn how to manage a team.
Hmm.
Those are pretty much all very key skills, right?
Yeah.
So I say 100% initially, it's a very great thing to get into. You gain skills, you can make some money, right? And on top of that, you gain a case study and testimonials, right? You gain social proof. But I'll be honest, two case studies, get the hell out of there, like
Mm.
ASAP. Genuinely get out of there because you'll get stuck in this loop. Because
Mm.
realistically, I thought about this a while ago, and I was like, why is it so difficult to like scale up with this? Like,
Mm.
what's the actual issue? And I was like, do you build a larger team? Like, what do you do? But the reason, and I realized why it was difficult, was two things. Number one, it's all the menial things you do for your client. It's not even like the main needle moving stuff.
Oh
It's the
yeah.
fact that you become a CEO of like a business, and then all of a sudden you have four growth operator clients, five growth operator clients. You're the CEO of five businesses. Who are you flipping like Bruce Wayne? Like you're not Superman, Like it doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
And so that's number one. But number two is also a case where to actually scale up an offer, the client needs to be very bought in. They need to be bought into the process. They need to be grinding as hard as you're grinding, but they never really are. There's only a few clients I can say who actually give as much effort as you're going to be putting in. Therefore, there's always going to be this stagnation of speed. You're going to be, okay, let's do this. And then there's some like lag of XYZ happened and this person felt like this and this person did this or didn't do this. And so it's very, yeah, very, very difficult thing. But
Yeah,
yeah.
like imagine going to a gym. You're a gym owner, and I'm like, hey, I want to lose weight, but I want you to do like everything for me. Like, I want you to like do the workouts for me. Like, you got to do everything for me, dude. Right? I actually
Makes no sense.
I want to share my screen because I typed up some stuff. I actually made a video about this a little bit ago. I don't know if you saw this, but
Yeah.
I made kind of a flywheel about this. I was like typing some stuff out. I'm like, okay, what's the flywheel? And I'm gonna kind of present this, but I want you to kind of see if this kind of resonates with the growth operating model at all. Okay. So client enters
No, wow.
low
I
commitment
read through
agreement.
it entirely and this is incredible. This is exactly it.
Yeah, so the done for you offer appeals to the client's desire for convenience, right? So you're just like too much value, right? You're taking away from
Mm,
when you front load the value, when you make it easy for the client in the beginning, you're making it harder for yourself in the end, right? So all in all, low commitment agreement, convenience, low effort, etc. You take full control, you take process, take charge of the process. Overconfidence effect, where you may overestimate your ability to manage without client engagement. Client delays or lacks engagement, right? Because they're just not that committed. You compensate. You're, hey, I'm going to do more to try to catch up, sort of thing. Client expects increasing support, right? So you give them an inch. What do they take? A foot, right? Operator becomes overburdened. You become overwhelmed, leading to stress, cognitive overload, etc. Diminished service quality. And then it's just they become dissatisfied. You kind of all in all throughout this process, because you're kind of overcompensating for their lack of undercompensating, what happens to your frame? What happens to your status? Right? And and if I'm working with you, Isaac, and I don't respect you, and I'm like supposed to be, you're supposed to be the person who is leading this process of making me more money, then that's not going to lead to any sort of results at the end of the day, right?
horrible.
You lose your authority, right? Burnout, etc. And then you just, that client, in my opinion, yeah, if you're working and you're doing everything for them and you're happening to manage your frame, then it could end in something being good. But long
Mm.
term, for myself, it's never really like worked out where like it's like, yeah, okay, bye-bye, great working with you. It always leads to like some sort of like damage of reputation,
I want
right?
to ask you a question then, Ashton, because this is the thing. Growth operating is done for you, but there are done for you models that work. What works in done for you and what doesn't work?
So done for you is tricky. It's tricky. It specifically in like the growth space, the only way to do done for you is you need to obviously 100% off the jump get high commitment. Like it's
Mm,
not really the fact of like if it's done for you or done with you, like you can still do done for you and scale it.
Mm,
but you're going to have to get a lot of money off the jump from these people. Okay. And then let's say hypothetically, you're charging 10K up front sort of thing. You get 10 clients a month, right? There still becomes kind of a cap on that, right?
mm,
Because they're still going to obviously want to expect more, right? If you do work for people, they're just obviously going to want to expect more. Even one of my business partners, he's in a space right now where he works with luxury brands and stuff, and
mm,
he works specifically done for you. But like the people who like his bosses, you could say his clients, for example, they're always expecting more. They're even like really dumb shit. And it's not even the fact
mm.
that it takes a lot of work, it's just the fact that it's mentally consuming. And it
Precisely.
pisses you off and
Oh, you smashed it. You smashed it. You smashed it, bro. Look, genuinely, it's the mental real estate that it takes. Some of the tasks are very easy, but it's the fact that you're being asked to do a task that's very easy when you want to allocate your energy to more difficult, leveraged tasks. And so then you're just in this thing where it's like, why are you asking me this?
Hmm,
Like, want to focus on XYZ thing, and then I'm being asked about whatever thing, it's a very difficult thing.
yeah. No, it's crazy. And even if you get results for clients fully done for them, the real crux is they don't value it as much.
Honestly.
They don't. If they put no effort in and you do everything for them, like they're gonna be sure they're not gonna be pissed. Oh, you gave me money, but they're not gonna value that the same as like if they have to work for that money. It's the same as like same as the gym, right? You just take steroids, right? Just jump in the gym, take steroids. You're gonna be like, oh, sick physique, nice, looks good. Yeah, I'm not sad, right? So so it's crazy. So, and even like sunken cost fallacy, same thing, right? You can kind of fall into like loopholes where like if you're so invested in a client done for you and they're not that invested into you, you've still invested a lot of time to like make sure you're kind of like keeping up with their lack of compensation. So you
Mm.
sunken cost fallacy kicks in and you're like, okay, even though the ship is going down, I still don't want to lose it, right? So you start to psychologically torment yourself as well. Oh, I got to keep this client. I got to keep this client, right? So there's a lot of biases that kind of kick in as well, and it kind of can all be related back to psychology and commitment and stuff. But
I want to
yeah,
ask you then two questions, Ashton, because it's a case where you spoke about the ship analogy, right? Ship is sinking. You kind of blame yourself, even in your affirmation, the thing that you broke down. One of them was, I never leave things a failure, right? Maybe I'm quoting that incorrectly. What do you then do? When is it okay to say this situation doesn't make sense? When is it intelligent to go, no, I'm going to revive this? When, like, how do you judge this?
well, the question I would answer your question with a question like
Hmm.
like what is the process to revive something if it's already sinking?
Like the practical process or like a hypothetical, like,
Yeah, like if the ship's already going down, okay,
mhm.
what are you gonna do? Put more work in? How are you gonna revive it? Like, what is like the logical process that most people do to try to revive it?
Just put more work in.
Put more work in, try to get results. Okay, now you do get
Hmm.
results. What happens?
You get results. You're gonna have to tell me. I don't know.
Yeah, like you get results for them, and then you got the results totally
Yeah.
done for them, and then what are they gonna?
And then you enter this like the flywheel flipping oh.
Yeah,
Uh,
right. So yeah, the thing is like with Alex Hormozi's like value equation, it's true. Like this equals value. Like I'm not arguing with that. But value is kind of like subjective, obviously, right? It's very subjective. I think
mm,
he just means like value in terms of like potentially dollars. Like, yeah, like money, dollars, etc. But like if you're coming in with like no effort and sacrifice, and even time delay can totally screw you as well. Like if you're
mm,
like, hey, if you're like, hey, I'll get you results in like 2 weeks, sort of thing, 10K a month in your first month, I think that is like absolutely like so stupid to go in with that assumption off the jump. You're just setting yourself up for failure. Like I said, you're using the energy. Energy can't be created or destroyed. So
Yeah.
you're using the energy on the front end to attract clients, and you're taking that from the back end.
And I'll say one thing about what you said about with the time delay is the issue as well with the growth operator model is it's based off this launch model.
Mm,
Launch, launch, launch. Rather than building a sustainable business, we're focused on the launch. And especially when you bring these creators who have audiences who've just been built up on goodwill, who will buy anything. They would have bought anything regardless of what you sold them, right? The goodwill's already built. You launch, you squeeze all the goodwill out of this creator organically, and then you're kind of cooked. Of course, yeah, you can run ads, and that's when the actual long-term mechanisms come into play, YouTube long form, running ads, etc. But most growth operators are initially taught only organic. So they're like, oh my gosh, we did a launch. And then 3 months later, they're like, what's going on? I can't replicate it, you know?
yeah.
So it's a very difficult thing. And so then actually I wanted to ask you, what would you then do in terms of an offer suite with your skill set? Because, okay, we know done with you is that place where it's high ticket, but it's also scalable. We know having some sort, maybe having some sort of downsell to just DIY, pure information course might be cool. On the done for you side, do you ever want to even go down that road again, or what's the plan?
Done for you, just in general, would I go down that road again? No,
Yeah.
there's just the leverage with that is just it's not leveraged. Like it's easier long term, obviously, to productize and give someone a product and set the expectations that
Mm,
this is going to be something that they're going to have to do. And you're still here for them. You're here to consult them, but giving them a product to use and giving them something that they can like just kind of do for themselves in a sense. Yeah, there's
mm,
certain factors that you like are going to have to use your skill set to potentially consult them on, or maybe
mm,
a portion could be done for you. That's totally fine. But the majority has to be done by them. Has to be done by them, right? Like I'm not going down the done for you. I still actually do. I still have done for you clients, but I've
mm,
set it up specifically where these done for you clients, like I've before it was like, oh, you're done for you. Pay me a couple grand a month and I'll run your ads and I'll do your whatever for you. But like right now, like if you come to me and you're like, hey, Ashton, I want you to do like everything totally done for you, it's gonna cost you like a massive arm and a leg, number one. And I'm still gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna do everything for you, but I'm gonna tell you that like, hey, you're gonna have to be more committed than I'm gonna be committed at the end of the day.
mm.
Like, and it may sound kind of like crazy to say that, but it's actually helping the client more,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, like my done for you clients right now are paying me like they're the ones that I still have right now, they're paying me on MRR, like average
Mm,
right now for MRR. I don't want to specify specifically, but it's roughly between 3 and like 5 to 6K a month, like MRR, right? And there's a reason why, as you can kind of maybe put together here.
yeah.
So yeah, so let's jump into this. But look, we can kind of just wrap up with kind of like what you're potentially kind of looking at doing here and what I'm helping you with in terms of like moving forward, how we're putting together maybe some sort of build and release style productized offer that can be number one distributed, not you having to work, not you having to like, hey, oh yeah, I'll get that piece of content for you by tomorrow morning, right? Like, oh fuck, I want to go to bed, but oh, I forgot to write the piece of I forgot to write his story for him. Like,
Free,
like that.
free me, free me.
So what are we putting together, Isaac? Why don't you kind of like give an
Yeah.
overview of how we're moving forward, your pricing, your back end, everything moving forward, and how we're gonna kind of stick with that because we have to have discipline with that as well. It's very easy.
100%.
Oh, 50, oh,
100%.
50%. Oh, he has 200,000 followers. Oh, it's gonna be so easy off the launch, right? So what are we doing?
Yeah. So build and release model, done with you model, essentially consultancy plus information plus implementation systems type thing. But if I want to break that down on a more like specified sense, fitness and health coaches obviously want to scale their businesses. I give them all of my information in productized assets, which is what I'm building currently. So in-depth modules on essentially everything you need as a fitness and health coach to scale up to XYZ number. That's number one. But then number two, in congruence with that information you give them actual systems they can utilize to do these things. For example, tracking dashboards. It could be Notion templates. It could be Go High Level, but built out in specific ways. It could be all my automations. It could be all my systems, etc., etc. So now you've given them information. You've given them the implementation, which is the systems. You give them your own consultancy, which is my consultancy in the form of looms, messaging, checking calls, group accountability, it doesn't matter. And then, of course, you give them the sense of community as well, which is going to be interesting. And, but I know for sure, like, it will allow people to kind of self sustain and support themselves on top of having me and my team to support them, you know? So that's in terms of the actual implementation of the offer, price point, in between 10 to 15K USD. And the good thing is with your help, Ashton, I already closed the guy for 13K USD. And the crazy thing is, the easiest client I've ever serviced in my life. That's the it's the best thing, but the worst thing, right? I'll tell you, it's the best thing because I know this is proof of concept. Tick, the job done. This is going to be amazing. But it's the worst thing because, like, I would have started sooner, number one. And number two, like, it's in this weird sense where like you have old clients and you have to like purge, bro. You have to cut the bad leaves dry and go all in on this model. So that's really it, you know.
Nice, nice. So just kind of cracking away at the systems, making sure you're productized, giving them those products, and then obviously, yeah, consulting them because without that consultation, you're just a course creator now, which lead,
Precisely.
which leads to less than 1% success rate, obviously, which
Literally.
we don't want because we want case studies as well. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, how I see it is like you're selling them the warehouse to build a car. You're also selling them the handbook to build the car. And then you're also giving them yourself in terms of, oh, yeah, you need help with that specific thing. That's what you should do, you know? So they have the complete package to do everything themselves, but you're not doing anything for them specifically. So the game
Mhm.
changer.
And how have you, question with this, with the 13K guy that you closed, what is the, like, run us through, like you've gotten a taste of like,
Mm.
this tastes good. What is that? So what, you onboarded him, you've had a couple calls with him. What has that kind of been like? Has he been demanding, like psychology? What's kind of been going on with this guy?
I mean, I followed your onboarding and bro, like it's been the best. No, I don't even want to say like and like overdo it and be like, oh, it's been amazing. Genuinely speaking, we in the first couple of days, bearing in mind I have no modules yet. So if I had modules, you wouldn't even have to have done this. But in the first couple of days, you probably had like five one-to-one calls. But because of the frame I had, they were very enjoyable. Like I just taught my knowledge. I just spoke things that I speak to my team about and speak to my current clients about, but I got paid for it. And he was like, yeah. And he was very receptive, very understanding, very hardworking, very driven. And we had a mission. And like, I can just call him out, keep him calm, and be like, bro, what are you doing? Hurry up. Like, film this thing. You need to. And it's not film this thing for me, it's film it for you. I'm just trying to keep you accountable. And he's like, bro, I appreciate you. Thank you. Like, that type of, I think I gave him a call yesterday just to check up on him. And he was like, oh, yeah, like, oh, thank you for reaching out to me. Like, everything's going well, but I just need to move faster. That's it. And I've given him everything he needs to succeed, and he knows that in his heart.
See how the frame has changed from, hey, Isaac, you need to move faster. You need to get me that piece of content to I
Yeah,
need to move faster.
crazy, honestly. Crazy.
Yeah, right. So yeah, there we go. So yeah, that's pretty much it then. Do you have any, I guess, kind of final remarks that you want to say about kind of maybe something to a goal or something you want to kind of like put into the future or a comment or something about maybe that I've helped you with that you want to state or I don't know, anything you want to say sort of thing before we wrap up?
I mean, I'll say that launching this done with you offer within the next 2 to 4 weeks and probably be one of the most impactful things I do in my life, just because even forgetting the launching, but just me fully filming all my modules on basically everything I have in my head and putting it into physical assets, digital assets, that's going to be a blessing in itself, right? But then from there onwards, being able to just sell things and not have to just scurry around doing service delivery, that'd be great. So yeah, I appreciate you a lot, Ashton. Honestly, I appreciate you a lot.
100%, 100%. I made this specific shift in my business about a year and I think just under, or I think just about a year ago. And
Okay,
it started with actually, you know, Nick Cosman?
I've heard of him, but I actually don't know who he is.
Yeah, I was talking, or I was actually on a video call with Nick Cosman, and I was kind of like, I was like asking him questions, and he's like, how many clients do you have? You're doing done for you. He's like, Ashton, your system breaks at like 60K, 70K a month.
Hmm.
Not even, right? So that was also a big eye opener for me. He's like, dude, if you're not going to do it now, why do it forever, sort of thing. So I made the shift, started to, I just like, you have all the Google Docs that obviously I've sent you, but like just writing them all out, just like, this is what we're
Hmm.
doing, right? Here's a 30-page doc, go read it. So, so yeah. And it's definitely 100% changed my life. Like I can right now, my system breaks. I've done the calculations at roughly like 350 roughly K a month.
Hmm.
Obviously, I'm not making 350K a month. Like last month was my best month. It was just over 60. But it's like
Well
60,
done, bro.
61 and a half, which is great, but you know, you have to obviously have that long-term kind of approach, right? So yeah, yeah. We'll end it there. And yeah, it's been a pleasure kind of chatting about growth operating.
Yes, sir.